So the reason I wanted to talk about today's topic was I think it came up in one of our recent episodes, actually. I think you brought it up, like having non-negotiables in relationships. And I don't know, it's a topic, I guess it's come up in conversation in my life, but with other people. And I do think it's something that's not taught very well in schools, similar to like business and making money and entrepreneurship, which is not taught in schools. I think similarly, the relationships and knowing how to avoid toxic relationships, knowing how to set limits in relationships, knowing how to navigate them, I guess. It just seems like something that's not really addressed. So that's all that's where I'm coming from. It's something that I don't really talk about a lot also, so I'm thinking that some growth might come from discussing the topic as well. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I guess where I would want to start with is when I say non-negotiables in relationships, what comes to mind?
The things that are like an absolute must. Like this is like a non-negotiable. Like he must be taller than 4'9".
So we're talking about romantic relationships then.
I don't know. Do you want to talk about both in a friendship, or like friendship and relationship, or do you want to?
We could talk about both. I just want to clarify which one.
Oh, okay.
In case there was confusion.
That one was a complete joke. But that one was regarded towards relationships, like romantic relationships.
Right when you said that, all the 4'10" guys in the world were like, yes. And now you just crushed their dreams.
It's crazy. I'm 5'9", so.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a no for me. So what would you say are like your top two that are like very important to you for like a romantic relationship?
Well, when it comes to like the non-negotiables, I think the first thing that comes to mind is like disrespect and negativity. Like those, I have a very low tolerance for those, and it's confusing to me when people are in a relationship that has like 1 ounce, like just 1 ounce of disrespect or negativity. It's just confusing to me. It's like, why would you like put up with that? But obviously there's like, I mean, there's reasons, and there's, backgrounds behind that and context. But I think maybe, if anything, maybe I draw the line too soon with like cutting people out for that stuff. But I don't know. It's hard to say if you draw the line too soon or not. It's like it all has to do with it's just going to be like you're going to get certain results. If you draw the line, if you have a very low tolerance for it, then it's going to be very hard for you to get into a relationship. But if you allow it a lot, it's going to be very easy for you to get into a relationship, but it's not going to be a satisfying one, I think. So I don't know, but those are the two that come to mind, like disrespect and negativity. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just, I mean, don't those things bother you too, or do you feel like you're very forgiving when it comes to those?
No, I definitely don't take disrespect kindly, but I don't think I really get disrespected much. I think that the romantic relationships that I have, for the most part, they respect me well. And I personally don't come into contact with people who are negative, but like obviously everybody has their negativities. But I guess like through my romantic relationships, I think that for the most part they're all pretty positive. And if they're being negative, then I kind of just distance myself for a little bit, because I feel like, in my opinion, that's like the best thing that you can do, because chances are the person is probably gonna wonder why you're not, I don't know, talking to them as consistently, like why you used to talk consistently and then all of a sudden like you're not really talking consistently. But then again, that could have something to do with you. I don't know. I just opened up a whole new can of worms. But that was, yeah. But I guess my non-negotiables, I was actually thinking of non-negotiables more as in like things that like I must have in a guy, and the things that I must have in my romantic relationships is a guy that likes to laugh. I need him to be able to laugh with me. I like jokes. I like laughter. I like playing around. I need that. And if I don't have that, then like it's not going to be an enjoyable relationship for me. And I need that because I'm overall a very happy person, and I literally make jokes in my head all day long. So that's, something that I personally need. And then another thing is most likely like besides like the, basic non-negotiables like honesty and loyalty and stuff, like I think that he would need to adventure. He needs to like want to travel and adventure all the time, and he needs to have the money for it. That's like a non-negotiable in my relationships, my romantic relationships. Those are top two at least.
Yeah, that's so interesting. You saw the term non-negotiable in the context of the presence of certain things versus the absence, whereas I saw it in terms of the absence.
It's interesting.
The absence of the negatives. So what would I say are what do I want present?
Yes.
In a relationship? I would say like a certain level like of agreeableness and flexibility, in the sense of like I'm, with my ventures and my personal growth or something, and it's like if I'm going to do a seminar, or if I'm going to do like a psychology seminar on the weekend, or I'm going to like run a workshop, right? Then my significant other, whatever, would like support that, would say, what can I do to help that? Like it's sort of like nurturing the vision, the growth, the expansion, right? Yeah, that's sort of a thing.
Come to think of it, I think that that's something that I personally would need in a relationship as well. Somebody who, is there for me and encourages me and is interested in what I am doing genuinely, not like, and I find it interesting because, other people like don't need that in a relationship, which is why I think that this podcast episode is really beneficial, because I think it gives people a chance to, see what other people's non-negotiables are, in absence and presence. And on top of that, understand it. I think it helps you understand more who you are through like a healthy comparison. It's like, oh, okay, well, that person, that's cool that person, or interesting that person really needs to feel encouraged and like somebody's genuinely interested, because I personally don't really care if my partner is interested in my endeavors or not. I'm gonna, that's not something that I need from them. But what I do need from them is to rub my back when I get home, you know? So it's like some people need different things. And I think it's a great healthy comparison in this episode for everyone listening, including us.
That reminds me of that book, The Love Languages, which I have, but I haven't read it. I've just taken a look through it. Have you read it?
No, but I actually would love to, because I'd love to understand it better.
I guess it kind of makes the point that you made of that everybody's different and everybody has different needs. Some people have more of a need for physical affection. Some people have a need for material gifts. Some people have a need for verbal encouragement. And so it's different, you know. Yeah, I mean, this topic, it's interesting. I don't really think about it that much. I just kind of like do my thing, and then it's like when there's something I don't like, it's like, all right, like it's just, you know, like I said, the low tolerance, you know, for not just disrespect, but also like nonsense or like I don't know, but that also makes me sound like very inflexible when I say it like that. So,
which is funny because you're asking for agreeable and like flexibility earlier, right? I don't know if flexibility was the word, but I think it was. But
yeah, but that also gets into like yin and yang, like opposites. Oh, look at that. We have a dog.
Yes, Tamer, sit.
By the way, your background looks very nice. Looks like you're in a mansion or something.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful home. I was really excited when I found out that I would be here this morning to do the podcast. But I wanted to bring up the love languages, right? Because when you were running through them, I don't know if I'm the only one, but for those of you who are listening, you know, maybe can they drop comments? I don't know if they can, but
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So drop a comment if you agreed with me, because when you were going through all of them, you were like materialistic, like verbal, physical, and then there would be what mental, I don't know, but I was thinking about which one would be like my straight up like love language. And I think I love material things. They're great and everything, but it's not my love language, because I've actually had that happen before. Like in my life, somebody shower me with gifts, and I pushed them out of my life. I didn't want them there anymore because they tried to show their affection to me with gifts. And that's not how you show your affection to me. So that's pretty cool. That's a little discovery. And then I thought maybe it would be, you know, verbal, like encouragement, maybe verbal / mental, like being there for me sort of thing mentally. And I was like, you know what, that's great too. It's it's awesome. But I think that overall, the one thing that like I have left relationships for because I haven't been happy or fully fulfilled is because I didn't get the physicality that I needed. So I think that the physicality of everything would be definitely my like straight up love language. I need you to hold my hand, kiss my cheek, love me all the time. That is what I need in a man. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that one is actually mine as well. So it's yeah, it's like super important, I think, for me to have like the physical touch, as they say. I think that's how it's phrased in the book. But in any case, the idea that gave me just now was that underneath this stuff is a deeper fundamental of social dynamics and human interaction psychology, which is just the idea that everybody is different, and not everybody is the same, and you have to kind of know your audience and know what their needs are. And what this reminds me of is the entrepreneur Tai Lopez created a system called PACE, PASE, where he views people either as practical, action-oriented, social, or emotional. So it's like 4 categories, types of people that when he is, making a sales pitch, or when he's in a sales environment, he's always aware of what type the other person is, right? Because you don't talk to a practical person the same way you talk to a social person, right? If you're trying to sell a car, the practical person, you would say, all right, we can lock you in at this interest rate of 3.125, and it's going to cause your monthly payments to be this. You're going to save $20 a month. You're going to do, right? That's how you talk to a practical person. To a social person, you'd be like, imagine rolling up to the club in this new car, and your friends coming out of the car with you, and that's going to speak to that social person. And this is something that the teachers in grade school, elementary school, and high school never taught. It's one of the reasons is that they also do not know how to sell. And I'm not being critical. Well, I guess I am being critical of them. I'm not being rude to them, though. I'm speaking the truth, and I'm speaking about reality. Like I've said in past episodes, I've spent over 9 years working in the field of psychology in case management and frontline mental health. So I've interacted with a lot of people, some of whom very educated, with master's degrees in psychology, in marriage family therapy, in PhDs in psychology. But as much as they have studied psychology, they don't understand this principle that everybody's different. And so they don't adapt their communication styles to different types of clients. They're not able to sell. Like if they had to actually persuade the client to sign up for services and pay money, rather than just use insurance, they would not be able to sell their own services. They're not able to convey it in an exciting way. They're not able to tailor their communication to the communication style of the person they're talking to. And I know this is a bit of a digression from relationships, but I think I'm trying to tap into this deeper fundamental, which is understanding everyone's uniqueness and understanding what people need. And I think if we pay more attention to that, I think our relationships will improve. What do you think?
I personally 100% agree, and I would actually really like to read that book because it's cool because you have that in not only the business world, but if you're, trying to convince a friend or a lover, not convince, but lay an idea on them, and you know what kind of person they are, then it'll make it a lot easier to communicate with them and have a win-win for both of you, which is what everybody wants, and I think that it's cool as well because I feel like even if somebody doesn't know their love language, or somebody won't tell you their love language, you can always see it in the small, I think in the small things. If you really, really watch, you can see what lights them up the most. Is it a gift? Is it, the verbal? Is it the physical touch? So you can read people like that as well. And I feel like there's a specific uncomfortability with reading people. And I feel like the best way to move past that is to understand that everybody does it in the world. Like it's like a normal thing. Like I think that we should be normalizing reading people, because number one, people be getting into cars with men that straight up look crazy. Okay, like like Ted Bundy. Like, come on, if he asked me to get in his car today, that's a no. You look weird motherfucker, you are crazy, and I can see it in your eyes. I don't care how handsome you are. Like, I can see that, you know? We
Wait,
need
wait,
to
wait.
realize.
I have to ask, where did you witness this? Because it's funny. I've heard similar things, but did you see this in a specific situation?
What do you mean?
Like, did you witness a female getting into a car with a crazy looking guy?
Oh, no. I just hear about it very often. And I hear
Yeah,
about stories where like
yeah.
women are getting into cars with guys.
People post that stuff and like, and then they end up hating men because they generalize and they think that it's a problem with like men in general. And I've
Mm,
seen people make social media posts about that, be like, oh, I am never getting into a car with a guy again on a first date or something like this or whatever. And it's like, well, it's like, how do you not read? Like, I can smell a mile away when someone has any of the three dark triad traits of, psychopathy, Machiavellianism, right? That stuff, or narcissism. Like, I can smell that stuff a mile away, like any of those traits that you have to stay away from. But I don't know. Then again, I've worked in psychology like for many years, but I don't know. But it sounds like you're able to tell that also, right? Like, you can tell when somebody's like sketchy, can't you?
I can definitely tell when somebody's a little sketchy, yes.
So why do people struggle to detect it sometimes?
I feel like it's more of something that they don't want to see, because I feel like we humans, we're such good people that like we want to believe the best, and we don't want to see that harsh truth, because trust me, we can see it and we don't want to. So we kind of just spend a lot of time dicking around. And I feel like one of the best things that could come in the future of human evolution is to um, normalize, yeah, just normalize reading people, normalize being able to say, like, this person is not my kind of person. Sayonara, go find your people. I'll find my people. Or better yet, go attract your people. I'll attract mine. But you certainly aren't my people. So goodbye. I feel like if we normalized that, number one, people would be in a lot happier, loving relationships, happily living with their non-negotiables of absent and present. People would be having better friendships, not having these friendships where these girls are catty and all that and bad friends. Like, um, and I think that people would just be overall happier and on a smoother path to their dreams.
I have a ton of ideas going off in my head right now, but it's a good discussion. But this thing about relationships, right, and people needing to learn this, I wonder if we're taught that, like, if we're taught to like include everybody. Um, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not.
I think I see what you're getting at.
Rather than to discriminate, and discriminate has many meanings, right? You can use discriminate in the sense of like racial discrimination is not good, but
Yeah.
but it is good to discriminate between a creepy guy and a guy who will not hurt you, you know.
Yeah.
That is a good form of discrimination. So I think that people just, I think discrimination gets such a bad rap because they think of discrimination only in the terms of like racial discrimination. When there's so many varieties of discrimination, like people rarely use the word discrimination in a positive sense.
Mm-hmm.
But really they should, because like you're saying, like you have to discriminate someone you can trust from someone who you can't trust, a business partner who will screw you over versus a business partner who won't.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I think that that's very Very pertinent in day-to-day life, very pertinent skill. And there was something that I wanted to say. Oh, I wanted everyone to comment and say your love language, and say what it is. So go ahead and comment that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You read my mind. Glad you said that.
Okay.
Well, it's a little survey. We'll see what people's types are.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Anyways, I think we've got to start wrapping up here. The overall like takeaway for me from today's episode is like, and this is a takeaway I wasn't expecting to see, right? It's just, you know, we just kind of jumped into this topic to see what was going to come out of it. And it's, to me, it's like this lesson that people are different, and this art of reading people is like really important, and it's something that needs to be taught. Because whenever I tell people like that I study psychology or that I work in psychology, a lot of times people will joke and say, oh, are you psychoanalyzing me right now? And this and that, right? And it gets this like negative rap, but really, like, if you don't psychoanalyze people and if you don't think, then you end up getting in the car with a creepy person. Like, you have to, like I watch for so many things. Like, if I say something that is a negative, like if I say something that would upset the normal person, like if I say, you know, oh, I saw this dog and the dog was really hungry, the dog had no food, right? I watch the person's face, and if the person's face starts to feel like, or starts to show signs of distress, like they frown, you know, or they're like, right, then I can tell that, like, okay, this is a person that's more likely trustworthy, where they have empathy, they feel bad for others, right? Whereas someone with a flat face, someone who speaks empty words and will say something like, oh yeah, I care about you, and there's no emotion behind it, or like I said, or in my example, you tell them like a story about suffering and their face has like they have no emotional response to it. Don't get in the car with that person. Like, do not get in the car with them. Do not lend them money. Do not, you know what I mean? Do not let them stay over, whatever. Like, you got to stay away from people that lack empathy. But in the first place, how do you detect that? How do you know if someone has empathy or not? You have to like look for these subtle signs, you know, these, you know, subtle facial expressions, the rhythm of what they say, how they react to certain things. But anyways, we could do a whole episode on reading body language. Actually, we should do one. We should do it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. But that's kind of the takeaway for me, is like, just like reading people and like also responding individually to them. Like at work, if someone asks me how my weekend was, I'm not going to just try to express, you know, from my perspective what was important. I'm going to ask myself, what type of person is this? Are they a P, A, S, or E? Are they the action type? Because if they're action, then I'm going to say, oh yeah, I went to hockey and I taught skateboarding class and I did this, right? If they're the social type, I'm going to say, oh yeah, I spent time with my buddy this, and I went on a date with this girl, and right. I'm going to talk about people, social people. And I tell you, when I use this model, and I speak to people the way that they think, the style, the communication style that they have, they're way more involved in the conversation, right? And it's just a matter of knowing who's in front of me and being able to connect with that person. That's something that's missing in our society. People just speak as if they're just speaking to everybody, just to the world, and they're just, oh yeah, let me just dump this off my mind, like, here, take it. It's like, when really there are actually skilled communicators on this planet who actually, when they're in front of someone, they ask themselves, okay, what type of style does this person have? how do I communicate to them on their level, on their vibration? And it's like, that's actually how you have human relationships. That's how human beings can use intelligence, right? Otherwise you're communicating at the level of a Neanderthal. You know, it's like, we have big brains. Like, come on, let's actually use those brains and ask ourselves, what's the style of the person in front of me? So that's a good lesson, good takeaway that I got from today's episode. So what are your final thoughts, takeaways and lessons from today?
That was absolutely great. And I feel like everything that I wanted to say just completely flew out of my brain, but that entire, like, everything about it was just so good. And I feel like that's a really valuable lesson for people to learn in like today's life. And I guess my takeaway from this whole episode would be, I think the best takeaway that I would have would be is to read people and to just, that's what I wanted to say. When you said speaking to the world, see, I feel like that's something that's been really hitting me lately. Like, I feel like, because I've heard before, speak to people instead of speaking at them. And so now that specific piece of information is in my brain, it's kind of like that little missing puzzle piece. So I feel like it's so strange that we were never taught how to talk to a specific type of person. Like, who the fuck thought that it would be a good idea to not teach kids how to communicate, you know? So we wind up growing up talking at the world. Like, we're not talking with the world, like, we are talking at the world. And maybe that's honestly probably the cause of so many people's loneliness. Like, why are you so lonely? Because you're talking at the world. You are not talking with specifically anybody. And that's probably why, you know, people have like loneliness issues and maybe connecting issues, because we don't entirely know how to connect. So that was beautiful. And then, yeah, I guess like my biggest takeaway as well would just be to really take that action and just start learning how to read people. So that way you can have better relationships, better romantic relationships. You can have better friendships. You can attract better people into your life, so you can overall be happier and get to the place of, you know, reach your dreams as they come faster and smoother and more enjoyable with people who support you. You know, instead of getting involved in relationships and then being like, you know, your head is kind of filled with like this crud, and it's like, you have this friend and it's like, well, they're not really that good of a friend because I really don't like that they do this. And it's like, okay, well then cut them off and move on to the next one, because the faster that you cut somebody off that you know damn well is not meant for you, the faster that they get to where they need to go, and the faster that you get to where you need to go as well. So I think that this has been just an overall lovely puddle of delicious little raindrops, including relationships in life with romantic and friendship.
What a metaphor there.
Thank you. It came.
Puddle of raindrops, yeah. Soak it in.
Yes.
So, right on. All right. So if anyone has ideas for future episodes, self-help, psychology, personal development, anything related to that, please leave a comment. And last but not least, how can people reach you on Instagram, Kyra?
You can reach me on Instagram at Soul Designed Future.
Perfect. And I am at Existence First, all one word, lowercase. Shoot us a message and we'll see you next week.
Bye.